How should we start this off? I guess we'll just say, welcome to Cancer Culture.
Perfect.
So weird. But so I invited Maggie. I'm gonna let Maggie introduce herself, but I asked / invited Maggie to do this because, again, I've been talking about this like multiple times, but with the big fall horse shows coming up, there's a lot that goes into it. Not only the whole summer of getting qualified and, you know, prepping and preparing and showing to get your horse ready, but there's another side of it about yourself and being mentally prepared.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about that because I know of your background. So go ahead and introduce yourself and explain what you do for a living.
Okay. I am a licensed mental health therapist in the state of New Jersey. I've been doing it for about 10, 11 years now. And so I handle everything from anxiety, depression, with kids, adults, everybody. So, but a big part that's kind of come up a lot is the anxiety, is mental preparedness, is our perceptions of ourselves. So it's been something I handle a lot, even without showing, riding, all of that.
Yeah.
So
for sure. And I know, you know, a lot of like, there's a huge push just culturally about mental health awareness.
Yes.
And that, you know, we never used to talk about it.
No.
And now we do. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
So I even thought in the horse show community, we never really talked about it. But I know there are, you know, some sports psychologists that are starting to get involved in helping like at the collegiate level and things. I have heard of other trainers employing sports psychologists to kind of help people at the bigger horse shows or people that have showing anxieties.
Yes.
So I kind of wanted us to talk about that. And now Maggie and I both are amateurs.
Yes.
And showing
been for a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Have shown for a long time together. And we, you know, we've shown the same events. I'm sure we go through a lot of the same things. So I want to talk about how we as just competitors feel and bring some realness to it because it is people have a hard time with it. It's, you know, you're putting yourself out there to be judged and talk about mental health.
Right.
Like that's like,
yeah.
it's a lot.
Like we pay to do that at this point. And that's, you know, most people would run away from it.
Right.
But we look for it.
Right.
We want it. We want that competitive nature too. So it's a lot of pressure.
Okay. So I want to start by us talking about how we mentally prepare ourselves. So, and I'm going to tell you how I prepare. Okay. Say I'm at a horse show and I'm in my camper in the morning getting ready. This is how it goes. Okay. It goes a huge coffee. So I'm just going to like get all jittery and like jacked up.
Yeah.
Probably an immodium or two so that I don't shit myself in the next 2 hours.
Perfect. Yeah, it's great.
And then I put my makeup on and then I freak out that my horse is not going to be ready enough to be in the first class. So probably not the best way to go about the morning.
Yeah, but I like parts that you're handling. I think that's great.
So the preparedness is the immodium.
Yep.
And no, but I'm sitting here laughing about it, but it's actually true.
Yeah.
It's like true.
Yeah.
Because and I know my husband, when he first started coming to the horse shows with me, he was like, what is wrong with you? He's like, you are like freaking out. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm excited. And
right.
he's like,
and this is a nervous energy to it. Yes.
And I mean, can you imagine what my horse thinks about that when I show up
that's
like, on edge?
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge aspect of it, of how they're affected by us.
Yes.
And our energy level and our intensity.
Yeah.
And I know my trainer is particularly very, you know, he's super firm on practice the way, you know, you show because of that reason too.
Yes.
Like, I think he knows that I get a little amped and I get a little fiery.
Right.
But, you know, and that's a big piece so that they're ready for it.
Yes. And probably because, like, you know, I feel like a lot of us that show horses, or I don't know, this would be an interesting study actually to see how many of us are like type A personalities.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you and I probably
100%
are, right?
Yes.
And it would be interesting to see how many people are that type of personality also compete and what their mental preparedness looks like.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what your trainer says about practicing the way you show would be so beneficial.
Correct. Yeah.
Really? But that's hard to do.
It is. It's hard to maintain that. It's hard to keep up with that all the time.
Yeah.
But even just organizationally, like, I'm very routine. Yeah. Super routine. I need to get my horse ready myself.
Yep.
Nobody can touch it.
Yep.
I have my routine to it, so I know all of my bases are covered.
Mhm.
You know, and then the preparing part, then the practice part comes into play. But even just that morning
Yep.
routine, I have the same routine every morning. I get up, I get myself ready. You know, how am I going to be prepared? What am I going to wear to then go back and get ready? You know, you plan it all out.
Right. That is a good point. I know. I do that too. What am I going to wear in the morning so that it makes it easier then to like
get
get my
ready.
horse ready and then get changed
Yes.
when I need to get changed. That's actually funny. So walk us through what you do and if it has changed now being in your profession,
Yeah.
if it's helped you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
go ahead,
I would say it has. I think a big piece of it, a big concept that a lot of people talk about mental health wise is mindfulness.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a big meditator. I'm a little too fired up for that. That just settle and meditate. I think it's often associated with mindfulness, but at the same time, mindfulness is just being super present.
Okay.
And being in the moment. And I don't know any other sports or profession or anything like that other than showing horses that you need to be incredibly present.
Yeah, true. True.
So I think that part of it has shifted for me a little bit in learning more and more about that to be as present in, maneuver to maneuver even, or, within that. So I try to really hone in on that a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how would you instruct or teach, educate somebody to find that?
Well, I think there's a point of being able to settle a lot of the outside noise.
Put earplugs in
Yeah.
ourselves.
I mean, there's a point. Yeah, I know, and being able to kind of settle some of that, focus your attention, practicing that even outside of riding is so important too. Like when you're doing something to accomplish a task, being able to follow it through each piece.
Okay.
And that it's all just practice.
Yeah.
We can't expect ourselves to use a lot of these skills if we don't practice them on a regular basis.
Just like riding.
Yeah. So we take those big deep breaths. We settle those. Those are big deep breaths, are truly that, in through your nose, hold for 4, out for 4 is a reset for your brain. When, you kind of get too anxious or too fired up and, nervous to it.
Yeah.
So being able to practice that on a regular basis, I think
really
is, and nobody needs to know. Nobody sees that.
True.
It's not like you're sitting in the corner meditating.
And really that was an 8-second thing, 4 in, 4 out. Boom.
Yes.
Done.
And do it 4 times. And you can even do, kind of go through it that way. And, even when you're riding, your horse feels that. They feel that deep breath that you take.
True.
So I think that's probably one of the biggest and most attainable things that people could do.
Oh, I like that. I think that's really cool. I remember there years ago at the Congress, used to go up to where the office was to get your draws.
Yeah.
And I went up and I was like first to go in something. I was like, you've got that ruined my night.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to be the first one to put the track, down for the pattern.
Yeah, you got nothing to follow.
No.
Yeah.
No. I was like, oh my gosh. But I remember being like, you know what? It is what it is. I've practiced. I'm at this point.
Yes.
And actually getting that number 1 draw was almost better than me going 50th.
Yeah.
Because I think it made me go, well, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah. I just do my thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's that other piece of being very mindful is being able to have your plan. Don't, have your plan, be confident in your plan.
Yeah.
I say it all the time, and I think I preach it, and my clients would probably say it too. Anxiety loves a plan.
Oh, yeah.
It loves it. It's looking for it.
Cool.
So if you can give it a plan,
yes,
it wants security.
I like that.
Did you see the movie Inside Out?
No, not yet.
Okay.
My daughter has been asking me about
so you have to go see it because the new little emotion is anxiety in Inside Out too. And and I think of her all the time now in it because that's what she wants. She wants security. She wants a plan. She wants to know that you're going to be there for her. So you got to think of these, emotions as kind of these little creatures
that need you.
that need you.
Need you.
Need direction. Need a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that too. That's a good step to think about. If you're having an anxiety about something, give it steps.
Correct.
Give it
give it a plan.
I like that.
What are you going to do? How are you going to handle it? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Right. Okay. So let's if you were going to show at one of these big horse shows, the Congress or the World Show, and you find out that you have to follow somebody that is just you idolize, you think they're amazing.
Yeah.
You're giving yourself that anxiety. If you're like me, you're taking 3 Imodium in the morning, not
Yep.
just 2.
Not just,
No,
yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah, we're going to up that ante a little bit. And
There's my plan.
yeah.
But no, what steps, if that was you, what would be your plan?
I would say my plan would be to, one, be fully prepared in my maneuvers,
Okay.
you know, especially when we're doing like the classes that we do,
Yeah.
you know, being
The horsemanship,
prepared,
the
being,
showmanship,
you
yeah.
know, consistent in how we're approaching those maneuvers, but being as present as you possibly can.
Yeah.
I don't care what they did. And I think that's
True.
part of that's kind of a good thing almost about showing at the big shows is that sometimes you can't watch who went right before you.
No.
You're not standing in the arena like, you know, some
It's
of the smaller ones, local
one at a
ones.
time.
We're all in there together.
Yes.
You can watch
Yes.
everybody.
Yes.
But sometimes at the World Show or at the Congress, you're in the practice pen, you're getting ready. You're not sitting and watching
No.
as much.
No,
So
it's kind of like you're by yourself a little bit. Well, you're not, but you are.
Yeah. So I would say I would find solace in that plan too.
Okay.
Like,
I like that.
So I'm not going to watch who's in front of me.
Yeah. That is good. So then you're just, okay, I got to do what I got to do. We've practiced, I'm sure practiced the night before, and this is how it went. I know what to do.
Correct.
And get to the first cone and maybe do the 4 in, 4 out.
Yeah. And just stop and wait and take your breaths. It always feels like, I remember in public speaking classes in school, and they talk about, you know, talk slower than you think because, you know, everybody else it's going to be appropriate. You're going to automatically go faster. So taking those deep breaths, taking that 4 in, 4 out, that square breathing is going to slow you down.
It's true. That's
so
true.
taking a moment, it's going to feel like an eternity. The judges aren't waiting for you.
No.
You know, that's not that long. You know, it's just that 10 seconds max.
For sure.
You know, as you're walking up to the cone, as you're entering that arena. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a good point. And I feel like it'll then give you just that next level of confidence.
Correct.
Too.
Yeah.
Like it really, really will.
Right.
And I'm sure your horse will feel it and be like, thank
you. Yeah.
Why were we freaking out?
Exactly. Yeah. I think a big piece too is the being able to, as much as we practice the night before, when we go in those arenas, when you walk in on the side, they feel huge.
Yeah.
But if you walk in the middle of, like, let's say the Celeste Center or the Coliseum, you know, and talk about the Congress, they're actually really small.
Yes.
When you're in the middle of them.
It is.
It's just very intimidating.
Yeah.
So keeping your eye line, I would say too, where, you know, where you're focused, where you're mindful,
right?
You know, between your ears, where you're finding your path, whatever is
pick
necessary.
Your spots instead of looking up in the stands and going, "Oh my God, everybody's watching."
Yeah, because that looks huge. Let's be honest. It does. Like, that's freaky.
Yeah, you feel like you're like a little celebrity. Like everybody's honed in on you. Right? I know, and you can't screw up.
Right.
But it is true. Like a lot of us, everybody makes mistakes at some point. Their horses, things happen.
Yes.
So we just, like you said, have a plan, try to execute, and one step at a time, one breath at a time.
One breath at a time, for sure. Yeah.
What are there any other mental preparedness things like that you even just tell your clients? Not necessarily horse related, but even just aside from that.
Yeah. I think I'm really big on communicating your needs to the people around you. I think that's very important.
Right.
So whether that's, you know, a non-pro communicating that to their, you know, to their trainer, or, you know, vice versa, the trainer kind of communicating to the non-pro of how can they better help you too. Because let's be honest, most horse trainers haven't gotten into this to deal with our mental health as non-pros.
No.
That's not their deal.
No.
So they don't know how to do it.
Yes.
So we have to talk about it.
Right.
So I think that's a big one, communication. I think having appropriate expectations of your anxiety level.
Yeah.
And we often mix up anxiety and adrenaline.
Oh, okay.
That's physically they feel the same.
Yeah.
Right? You need your Imodium too.
Yeah, right.
For a lot of adrenaline. Like, it's gonna keep up. So they feel physically the same.
Okay.
So we always have to attend to our physical symptoms before we can attend to what's going on up here.
In your brain.
Because it's fighting each other.
Oh.
Yeah. Our brain is, or our body is like fight or flight, fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Okay.
Our body is telling us, run, do what you got to do, get out. That's why you have to go to the bathroom, to be honest with you. Like, that's the thing.
Really don't. I probably even really don't, but in my, I'm like getting the feeling like I do, you know?
It's our body's physical response to, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be intense.
Yes.
Yeah. So the physical symptoms then try to trick our brain to say, you got to handle something. This is, I need a plan. I'm scared. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
What's going on? So handling those physical symptoms. If
Huh.
you're shaking, slow it down.
Yeah.
If your heart's racing,
Yeah.
slow it down.
Interesting. And I know I was a competitive swimmer
Mhm.
also. And so a different type of competition.
Yeah.
So it would be that adrenaline, right? Where I
Mhm.
just wanted to like go
Yeah.
fast and win and beat the
Right.
other person. And I still get a little of that when I horse show, and I want to be
Yeah.
like, no, you need to like,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
come down and match the energy of my horse even.
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, the horse I have now is so like, okay, whatever you say, like I'll be at your level.
Yeah.
And I think if I jack him up with my adrenaline or anxiety, we're not
Whichever
sure,
one,
clear
yeah.
really on which one I have, but whichever one it is,
Mhm.
I think then he's like, well, I don't know, we don't do this,
Yes.
so I don't know what you want.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's hard for me though, because I am like an intense type of competitor,
Mhm.
so I do have to bring it down
Right.
a notch.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
even at home, I do practice like that a little bit. Like I
Mhm.
still my rides are probably more intense than
Mhm.
others, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Right.
I always like have a plan.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
know when I'm like driving
Mhm.
to the barn, I'm like, okay, I want to work on this today. I want to
Yeah.
ride for this amount of time,
Mhm.
then do showmanship,
Yeah.
whatever. So, but I think I'm trying to think for myself, again in the morning, I think what my anxieties in the morning before I'm getting ready
Mhm.
is that I'm not prepared. That I'm
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
actually I don't know
Right.
why I do
Mhm.
that. Do you think a lot of us do that?
100%.
Why do we do that?
100%. I think it's that mindset.
Yeah.
And it's our confidence in our mindset. And it's
Mhm.
also that body trying to trick us and
Right?
say, like, I don't know, this is not going to go well.
Yeah.
This could not go well. Or like we all then think of all of the 100 things that could happen negatively.
Right.
And as non-pros, we don't ride every day.
No.
We don't ride as much as our trainers do. We don't
Yeah.
ride as much as, a lot of everybody
Right.
whose instincts just take over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's almost, we have to have confidence in ourselves and our
Right.
abilities
Right.
too.
Right.
So I think that's both physically and mentally
Right.
that we can handle that.
Okay, that makes sense. That does make sense. And I know, like now, so I've had my horse at home for a little
Mhm.
while, so I feel more confident in my connection with him and my
Yes.
relationship with him that I can manage. Like if something
Right.
starts to go wrong, I'm like,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
I do
Mhm.
feel better about
Mhm.
that. But now there's like another level of it for me that I'm like, well, have I trained him right?
Yes.
Like, do I have
Yeah, you're going to second guess yourself.
yeah,
And if you think about it too, like even just what you said, every anxious thought we ever have
mm-hmm.
is always a question.
Yeah, that is true.
They always end in a question mark.
Yeah.
Do we ever answer them?
No.
No. Why not? Why can't we answer them?
Yeah, why don't we?
Right.
Because it's hard.
Correct.
Yeah, it
Right.
is really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it goes
Okay.
into that mindset and that preparedness in your mindset
Mhm.
because it's all wrapped into your perception of yourself
Mhm.
to add to that mindset.
Now it's funny because you said the perception of yourself, right? So people think I'm like a really confident person, but I'm going to sit here and say all this stuff and
Right.
it's true.
Yeah.
I guess I'm confident in certain areas of my life, and
Mhm.
honestly, I feel like I'm a strong rider. I feel like I have
Mhm.
a good relationship
Yeah.
with my horse. I feel whatever, but there are still those
Mhm.
parts where I'm like, no, I'm still not good enough.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I hope that maybe even through doing this, I want like someone who's a multiple world champion
Yeah.
to comment or to call my TrotLine. Somebody call my
There you
TrotLine.
go.
And I want them to say,
Yeah.
Allie, we've won all these trophies
Yeah.
and we do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would be really interested if they have a different mindset, like after you've won the one globe.
Yeah.
Does it kind of like take a weight off your shoulders?
Yeah.
Or does it put more pressure on?
Or does it add to it?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you won it, so now you better keep winning.
You have to maintain it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Which all then goes into mindset and how you're pushing yourself, your expectations of yourself.
Right.
I think that's a big factor too, and making sure that those expectations are appropriate.
I want to hit on something with that.
Sure.
That just made me think about something. So you're probably part of the amateur group on Facebook also, which is like so amazing.
It is, yeah.
But there's a lot of people that either talk about, well, we did talk about the communication thing with your trainer and also
on there a lot.
and body image.
Yep.
So like I think every woman, not every, but I feel like women, we would tend to have the wrong image of ourselves.
Of course. Yeah.
Right? Do you help people with that too?
Of course.
So how would you, as a writer, you know, everybody's at a different level of riding. And you, again, like you said, have an expectation of yourself. So what would you say to somebody who is like, I have a certain body type, I'm never going to be that rider?
I think I would explore further. Like that's starting from something way before that too.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like, and that's not to like go all Freudian and be like, it all starts in our childhood.
Yeah.
You know, but
we could talk about childhood trauma.
It goes through all that. But you know, I do think that it does. Are you comfortable? One, are you comfortable in what you're wearing?
Yeah.
You don't have to wear what everybody else is wearing if you're not comfortable in it.
Right.
And you don't feel you can perform.
Right. You want to wear a jacket? Wear a freaking jacket.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like as long as, and I'm sure you would talk to any AQHA judge or any paint judge, anybody, and as long as it fits nice and you look confident and comfortable,
they don't care.
They don't care.
Right.
So starting with putting yourself in situations that you can then start to build that confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence is building.
Right. That's a good point. So I think that's a really good tip for everybody is to start somewhere, get your confidence, wear whatever you want to wear that makes you feel good in your body. And, you know, I think, you know, we could say this is for somebody who maybe feels they're too heavy, but this also could go for somebody who feels like they're too thin and that nothing fits them either. Like there's, you know, or even someone in the middle who their body has changed due to having a baby
100%.
or, you know, things change.
Yeah.
And men too, like I'm sure like the men don't have as many outfit options.
No,
so
they're kind of locked in.
Shirt and chaps, right? Like that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is like find your spot, get confident, work from there.
Right. And have the expectation that you're not going to have confidence every day exactly the same. And I mean, that's on a day-to-day basis too.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, every time you walk in the show pen, you may not feel exactly perfect.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
How is it appropriate to have a ton of confidence?
No.
Is it appropriate to have no confidence? No.
Yeah.
Our goal needs to be middle.
Right.
Where we can kind of fluctuate within that.
You can be like, okay, today was really, like I have confidence.
Like I felt good today.
And it was good.
Yeah.
I had confidence.
Like I pulled those chaps up, I was okay, you know, and that was okay.
Yeah.
You know, but building within that confidence, I think, you know, is a big piece. Let's be honest, that's also why we show horses.
I know.
We like to if we do well, makes us feel good.
Right.
You know, if we, you know, kind of keeps building that.
That's true. That is true. You know, if you have like one good horse show, I feel like you leave from there going, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Oh yeah.
And then if you get your name called at one of the really big horse shows, you're like, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? So I like that. I like that a lot. And so for someone like you do this for a living.
Right.
What does this do to you? How do you?
I channel a lot of my energy and I try to practice what I preach, you know, obviously in that way. But I'm not perfect either.
Do you get nervous?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
What about horse showing makes you nervous?
I think a lot of I put a lot of expectations on myself, which is probably which I just said don't do.
Yeah.
But I am my own worst critic.
Yeah.
And I will tear myself apart faster than my trainer will. And I will hold myself to a much higher standard. So I think that it's not that I want it perfect.
No.
But if I mess something up, I'm mad at myself for it.
Yeah.
You know, if I miss where there was a horse show this summer, I did a great horsemanship pattern, but I was off on where I needed to be on my cone. And I got a 5-point penalty for it. Like I was off.
Yeah.
And you go in and then you look at your score sheets. And if you add that 5 points in, you would have been like, oh, look at that.
Yeah,
like,
right? I know, because it adds up.
Yeah. I mean, who else I can't be mad at my horse for that.
No.
I put him there.
I know. You
know, so I think that's a big piece that I catch myself a lot and I have to take a step back when I do know I'm doing that. Yeah. I used
to get really mad. Well, when I was like a kid, I would put like a really high expectation and I would get mad at the horse at that point in my life.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, he's not listening to you.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously as I got older, I realized it really wasn't the horse's fault. It was me.
Yeah.
But, and now I've gotten to the point where I put an expectation on myself as a rider. And even if like I watched the video back, I'm like, that looked like shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Even, I don't care where I placed. I'll be like, that looked like shit. And I need to go home and do like so much homework.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. And then other times people are like, no, that was really good. And I'm like, I don't know what you're seeing because.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I walk out and that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, that was great. I'm
You're
like, what are you talking about?
No, it sucked.
It
I
was
know.
terrible.
But it really is not. You know, the
Yeah.
fact that we have put in so much of this, the time
Yes.
and the work and the energy, it
Mhm.
really is never terrible.
No. Yeah.
Unless they rear up and flip over and
I
like,
mean, yeah,
somebody falls off.
everything
Or,
could always happen, but
Yeah.
yeah. If we do our homework to some degree, then, you
Yeah.
know, we'll,
Which is just like school. You do your homework, you're going to get the grade you
Mhm.
deserve on that homework.
True. Yes.
And you know, I feel like that is similar in horse showing,
Yeah.
regardless of a judge's opinion.
Right.
But I don't know. What else? We were talking about something else in the aisle that we were gonna. You talked about communication.
Oh, we were talking about being like physically prepared and that like kind of even clothing wise and being like if we're going to like we all get new outfits before the first.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Mhm.
So, okay, so the other part of this is we all get new outfits.
Yes, for most of the big ones. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Maggie and I were talking earlier about when you get a new outfit, what should you do?
You got to wear it.
Like at home.
You got to feel it at home.
Yes.
You know, like a lot of us go through even all summer and showing all summer. How many times have we showed in like a light day shirt with sheer sleeves and or whatever? And then you walk in and you have this gorgeous new thick day shirt that you're going to go walk and do the horsemanship with or the trail, whatever. Can you move your arms?
Yeah.
Is it going to feel the same?
Yeah.
That's when you go to walk in the show pen. That's the last thing I would ever want as an exhibitor to walk in at one of the largest horse shows in the world.
You can't move your
and
arms.
I can't move my arms. Yeah. And it feels totally different.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to execute the way I know how to. And it's not going to go as well, for sure.
When you said that, I'm like, that's a really good point. And I know I do it like when I get them at first. I try it on.
You try it on.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like I want to go do a workout in it and see if I can actually.
Yeah, exactly. Go ride the bike or go do whatever. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many of our trainers have us ride in our show saddles before we show?
Yes.
You know, and things like that, especially at a big one to get ready and have that only that feel.
Yep.
So remove all of the other obstacles, you know, or even makeup. If you never wear false eyelashes when you're going to go show
and you can't see,
how's that going to go?
It's
like,
true.
talk about your anxiety. You're going to walk in and be like, I can't see. And then you're going to freak out.
Yeah. So don't just put the eyelashes on the horse show.
Correct.
Wear them on like a Sunday morning.
Yes. And get ready.
And go to the barn. Go to the barn in just your eyelashes.
Just your eyelashes.
Everyone will love it.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm just getting ready for this and it'll be fine.
Yeah. But it's true. So you just gave us like so many good tips on how to be mentally prepared and actually a little bit of physical with that too.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever have people write this stuff down?
Yes, all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
I was going to ask that because I'm kind of I'm a note writer, or I'll put it in my phone in the notes in my phone and read through it again.
Yep. I have clients who are like, hold on, say that again. Let me write it down.
Yep.
I have one client who has index cards, and one time she's on video because I do telehealth and in person. And she like showed me all of her note cards of things that I have said, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. Like that's no, for them to reference later for sure. Yeah. Having like a mantra to it, having, you know, steps, you know, in the morning that you can, you know, look at, reference, remind yourself is really good.
So again, like a routine and a plan is really important.
100%.
So, and it's just like with animals, you know, like the horses obviously look to us for a routine and a plan also. So we're animals, have that same thing put in place for yourself.
Yeah. We're all behavioral creatures.
Yeah.
This is, you know, we go from cause and effect. Yeah. So, you know, it's if you can feed off of that, but also having the appropriate expectation that like when we walk into a big show, like it's happening all fall, you're going to be anxious. Yeah. Like you are not going to walk in calm.
No. It's just not.
Right.
You know, I'm sitting here going, yes, I am. And then,
right. No. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way. None of us do. I would say probably even professionals would say the same.
Yeah.
You know, and have they learned to channel that adrenaline maybe because they do it so often? They have that, you know, maybe they're used to it a little differently. But let's say it's your first time going to go show at the Congress or the World Show. And even if you've shown all your life, you're going to be nervous.
Right. Right.
But how can you function at that higher level of anxiety, of nervousness, of adrenaline? and still execute appropriately.
You know what? And I know last year, I had a 2-year-old that I showed at the Congress and the Pleasure, and I didn't have a lot of pressure on myself because it was a young horse, and I was like, it kind of is what it is,
Yeah.
right? But I remember the first, like, I thought that all in the warm up, they're having people jog in, and I was like waiting in the warm up, doing my jog around. I'm like, yeah, this is like, it is what he feels good. Like, he'll be fine. You know, 2 steps into that arena, I was like, and I got nervous.
Yeah.
And then I was like, Ellie, I was like, why now? Why all of a sudden you got nervous?
Right.
And then by the end of that, like, jog down, I was like, all right, like,
yeah, you got it.
unclench
Yeah.
your butt.
Right.
And
So-
calm down.
Right.
And honestly, then it was fine, but it was weird. Like, I was like in and out of that anxiety thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a young horse, you got to calm down because he's going to feed off of it,
Yeah.
And the first class I showed, I turned around, went the second direction, and it spooked. And you know what? That humbled me real quick. It really did. I was like, okay, we're real. This is happening.
Exactly.
And I just like let it go. The second go, I went in, and I just remember being like, just ride the freaking horse.
Do what you know how to do.
And then it was fine. I mean, I probably still had like a pit in my stomach for a little bit, but I just remember like thinking that to myself, like, just ride the freaking horse.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I wonder if some people have a different experience on the rail classes than they do in the pattern classes.
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, I've shown both. I've come, have a big background in the Pleasure, and I've shown that for a long time. And the horsemanship several years ago was new to me. I did the Western riding a lot, which is one of the Western riding and trail is probably the most mindful experiences. You can't, everything comes so fast. You can't worry about what just happened 2 seconds ago.
Keep going.
You have to look forward. So I would say in both of those events, you have to do that tremendously. But I remember walking out of the amateur pleasure finals at the Congress and my trainer asking me, so what'd you think? And I was like, I have no idea.
Blacked out.
Yeah. Like, I have no idea. But then when I stopped for, and thought for a second, I was like, give me a second. But I was so focused because I think in the rail classes, if it's done right, you are literally riding every single step.
Yeah. Okay, so we have to try this again because I screwed up the tech. Oh my gosh, the podcasting life.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to talk about something you touched on as far as mental preparedness being communication.
Yes.
And communicating with your horse trainer is not always easy.
Correct.
And I know myself, we've all been in that situation, actually. Not even just, we all have.
Yeah.
And it's hard to have that confidence to do it.
Yeah.
So what are your recommendations on how, if somebody is having an issue, whether it be financial or training, any of that
concern in that way.
How do they bring it to their trainer with confidence?
Right. I think, starting with basic communication skills is so important. Being able to focus a lot on preparing yourself for that conversation. Like we talked about before, anxiety needs a plan, right? But it whether that's going to be over the phone, whether it's going to be in person, either way, write down some bullet points of things that you'd like to touch base on. Things that, we all walk away from a lot of conversations and be like, oh, I should have said, or I should have asked about this, or I should have done this. So it's okay. Write it down.
Yeah.
There's no harm in that, and you don't look any different. So give yourself that security in having that, to kind of focus on and to, pay attention to. So I think writing down your bullet points, but also then your anxiety and any stress at that point, we have to be able to kind of use that and use those communication skills. So I feel statements, using less and less of any type of you language. A lot of times you comes across very accusatory.
I'm sorry, Kyle.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome now, Kyle. So this is,
I have some self-awareness.
She'll work on it. Yeah. But it's, being able to kind of stop that, being able to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Or we use it way too much. But at the same time, being able to take a step back and just see how maybe somebody else could be coming into that conversation. If we do that and use that more, you always do this, or you always it's hard. It kind of shuts somebody down away.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get anywhere.
No.
So opening that door, having an open line of open communication and comfortable communication. But I also think you need to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Even having a stressful topic, if you're comfortable with somebody, you should be able to have a stressful conversation.
And even like I know myself, if I'm comfortable with somebody, I would say, I'm even having a hard time saying this,
Yeah.
but we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
and just being honest
Just
that
being
way.
honest
Yeah.
about it
Yeah.
and putting it out there. You know, nobody has an expectation of you other than you.
True. I like that. It's good. Yep.
So, you know, focus on how can you, you know, just present this information, because if your trainer doesn't know, then they're just going to keep going on, you know, about their business.
True.
So you have to communicate your needs as well as a trainer being able to approach you, you know, and I think that's an important piece too, that, you know, they don't like telling you bad news or they don't like telling you negative things either. So that, you know, you also having the opportunity to have an open line of communication with them, I think opens and fosters that more.
Do you think people more often than not need to say to someone, you can always come to me? Or, you know, do you think, because I would assume that in a trainer client relationship, of course, we both think that we are that way or we come off that way.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that is something that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah. Are you approachable?
Yeah.
Is one. A lot of trainers are so busy. A lot of non-pros or, you know, owners are very busy too. Maybe trainers don't want to, you know, bother them either.
Right.
You know, or bring something that they may feel is small, but then that owner may have really appreciated that phone call.
Right.
So having that kind of open, you know, making sure that you are approachable,
I like that.
I think is both in your body language when you sit down and have that, you know, or even on a phone call.
Yeah.
You know, even sending a text message to say, hey, I really want to touch base on a couple things. You know, when's good for you?
Right. That is good. Like set up a meeting.
Yeah. Why not?
Like a touch base.
Right.
Yep.
Because if you catch somebody off, you know, off guard or on time, that's not fair to them.
True. Yeah.
You know, so you want both parties on any like tougher conversation to be prepared and be comfortable.
That is true. You don't want to like just like pull your trainer aside and be like, we need to talk.
Yeah, no.
That's like aggressive and scary. And
yeah. Talk about shutting down and getting defensive.
Right. Right. And they probably know it's coming anyways, but then when you approach them like that, you're right. You're right.
It's just not going to go well.
You know what? Anytime somebody texts, they're like, hey, can we talk? It is intimidating.
It is. Yes.
But.
Yeah. And I think watching our phrasing, hey, can we talk?
Yeah.
Sounds a little more intimidating than, you know, I'd like to touch base on a couple things.
Perfect. Right.
Right.
I know,
Same thing. Same
Yeah.
thing. Just being aware. Like, how would you feel
if they said that to you?
If somebody said that to you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just having the self-awareness of, you know, how do my actions impact somebody else?
Now, what if somebody feels really intimidated by their trainer and they're nervous to go to them with a concern? Do you feel like they should obviously still do it? Like they just
100%.
should.
Yeah.
And depending on the outcome, you know, it is what it is, and you kind of go from there. But what maybe like some tips would be to write it down.
Yes.
And practice what you want to say, maybe?
Yeah, touch base and with yourself, kind of, you know, role play that for yourself. You know, there's a lot of times I even with clients on a regular basis, I role play, you know, tough conversations they want to have with their significant other or how to approach somebody at work or, you know, a boss in those ways. It would be the same thing. You know, see if you have somebody, you know, a trusted person at home and say, hey, these are some points I want to touch base with my trainer. Can I run it through with you?
Perfect. I like that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, just get it out one time, do a couple test runs, maybe if you have to.
Exactly.
And then approach them.
Yeah. Right. So that you feel a little more settled.
Yes.
Always, we just want security. We just want settle.
Yeah.
You know, not 100% calm, but a little settle.
Just like we said earlier, is we practice our pattern, and then you go to the cone, and you are prepared.
Yes,
you are. So you take your deep breaths. In the nose, out the mouth. And then have your conversation.
Correct. Yes.
I like that. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Okay, that was really good. That was good. Okay, so and then to wrap it up.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Yep.
And for anyone just listening, Maggie and I both have blue on. If you're watching, you can see that. Yeah. So we didn't plan it. But I think we're channeling some blue ribbon energy for all of you competing at the big fall horse shows. And if you listen to this at another point, just blue ribbon energy.
Yeah, good vibes. Yes. Encouragement. Yes.
Have a plan.
Correct.
And execute.
For sure. Yeah.
So again, Maggie, thank you for helping us and giving us some tips. And I guess that's it.
Yep.
Thank you.